5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 get us to since NASA's inception 45 years ago. The Voyager 1 spacecraft was launched the solar system, despite the lifespan of spacecraft was only 5 years. Years are continuously passing by with no end in sight. Previously, but not all of the universe currently, this storied spacecraft is starting to return some odd info in relation to NASA, and many of the top scientists at the space agency puzzled will be looking at several of these today. The odd data being transmitted by the Voyager 1 spacecraft. Hello and welcome to KYC News. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. In August of that year, the Voyager program NASA launched the Voyager 2 in 1977. The mission of a spacecraft to Jupiter and before traveling to Uranus, Saturn a few days after the Voyager, and Neptune. The twin spacecraft of Satellite 2 was launched. Additionally, Voyager 1 was launched. These two spacecraft were almost identical. They were almost the same size as a small automobile, and the key component of this, its sole purpose, was to be launched at just the proper moment. A special window of opportunity existed that NASA discovered where the planets in 1977 of interest matched up exactly for effective investigation. Each spacecraft could during this period move between other planets without having to significantly stray from its course, but NASA consciously such that the two would have a 16-day gap, have a marginally different course. As a result, in December 1977, just several months after its launch, Voyager 1, despite it being smaller than its sister since then, launched at a later time. Eventually, Voyager 1 was one of NASA's most significant resources when it came to creating innovative and fun spaces discoveries. Initially, Voyager 1 sent Jovian photographs returned to Earth in 1978 at when there were approximately 265 million yearly kilometers away from our planet. Later, after spending more than 100 hours, taking around 4,000 pictures of Jupiter, assisting us in developing the first ever time-lapse that displays the gas. After a month, Giant's rotation became the first satellite to find the rings of Jupiter. 2 new moons next, it traveled towards the planet Saturn, and along the route, it would be necessary to its course will be slightly changed to avoid a run-in with one of Saturn's biggest moons. During Voyager 1's orbit around the moon Titan, Saturn found 4 moons and launched photos of the ringed planet in abundance. After this, NASA determined it was time for the Voyager 1 mission to conclude. Along with the Voyager 2 continuing its struggle against Uranus ice giants and being the first spaceship to reach Neptune. If you did, the Voyager 1 would start travel to the exterior of our Sun system. The interstellar mission of Voyager began formally in 1990 at a distance approximately around 6 billion kilometers. Sun Voyager 1 returned breathtaking data. Photos of a wide variety of planets, taking the very first family picture of the system of the Sun. The spaceship had used this moment to more than 67,000 photos. Along with NASA's, there was no longer a need for its cameras. NASA then switched the Voyager off cameras on one in an effort to save energy. Powered 10.3 billion kilometers in 1998, the spacecraft moved farther away from the Sun. Pioneer 10 spacecraft, which was launched in 1972, NASA. Prior to that, the Pioneer 10 had been the farthest fabricated item from. However, as of just now, that honor belonged to the first Voyager. It kept increasing. The lead is pretty large because the direction of interstellar space, even though he had turned off the cameras. Point being, NASA still had the tools for communicating with the spacecraft. Voyager 1 was able to successfully leave and entered the stellar system, even though NASA wouldn't. In 2012, the disclosure of the public achievement up until 2013. Right then, traveling quickly away from the Sun 61 its sister's speed of 197 kilometers per hour. The Voyager 2 wouldn't take off until 2018, the solar system, such that Voyager 1 was launched around 14.5 billion. It is kilometers from the Sun. Kept transmitting signals to NASA that provided increasing information on what's both within and without our solar system. Unfortunately, Voyager 1 has recently suffered some coordination, and it is beginning to return some odd signals to NASA. A large majority of these signals can't even by some of the finest scientists decipher the planet, and it appears that the spacecraft itself is unsure of specifics. The spacecraft's location where it has been set up to send a certain alarm if it ever becomes lost in space to NASA space is still fully functional. Of doing so, however, despite the perplexing alerts that the alarm hasn't been triggered yet. In addition, the antenna of Voyager 1 is apparent ill health, and it maintains regular contact with NASA. However, NASA is now less frequent about the accusations that the Voyager 1's antenna is sending, but for now is still able to obey commands from carrying them out in the Earth space between stars. Taking into account how the spaceship was built in the 1970s, it demonstrates how NASA's advanced technology has, in spite of everything NASA considers the signals being sent, the data from Voyager 1 are not precise a picture of what actually is taking place on the spacecraft than what's actually going on aboard you. You might be curious about how NASA outfits all the outside of their spacecraft with a created disc with gold plating. This disc transports customized audio and video messages. In the unlikely event that it does interaction with a spacecraft from another planet, among the information on the CD there are about 35 distinct sounds from the observations of daily life on Earth, Western mainstream music for more than an hour, and greetings from a large number of previous U.S. presidents whose translations are available so that it can be translated into 55 different aliens. Have a greater likelihood of understanding some of the stuff, though by 2022, NASA researchers have rejected spaceship theories could be governed by extraterrestrials. Voyager 1 includes many elements for safety protocol that will become active if there is always a risk to spacecraft, but none of if those procedures have ever been used. The antenna from Voyager 1 is another continues to direct attention to the planet, although everything being in order. The odd signals coming from the Voyager 1 has become even more enigmatic. Never transmitted these cryptic signals even in the past, when it was in the same. Therefore, why is it that the now spaceships are transmitting these signals? When the planet is so far away, clearly something is happening, but the project manager for NASA said this usually focuses on the Voyager mission. For a spaceship that is as old as Voyager 1 has been orbiting the Sun for it's been almost 45 years at this time, at an unprecedented 23.6 billion miles, or about distant by 157.9 astronomical units from the spaceship receives the Sun. The farther the communication between is less dependable. Together with the spaceship, we will that issue. There is no trustworthy method of repair of Voyager 1. If something goes wrong, NASA lacks the capacity to build a spaceship that able to go into interstellar space, the same destination as Voyager 1, and conduct a timely rescue mission physically and logistically impossible. Additionally, there is two-way communication. Currently moves considerably more slowly than before. Messages often take 2 days to depart from the NASA communication facility. This indicates to the spaceship that the collision and accident risk has increased, been greatly improved, and NASA's team might not be able to do so properly. Inform one another about crises. Despite all, NASA remains optimistic it will be able to resolve the present issues that the Voyager 1 has encountered. It anticipates the spacecraft to continue sending further messages. Knowledge of interstellar space, the extreme distance from the Earth's surface to this Earth-based spaceship emits any delayed transmission of any kind, and potentially exceedingly unreliable. Valuable for NASA at this time. NASA is using this spacecraft, the capabilities of its spacecraft, both past and current. This information will prove to be crucial for any and all upcoming space missions that the space agency conducts. Nevertheless, a time will come when the Voyager 1 can no longer communicate, get in touch with us here on Earth, and each day that goes by, the likelihood of an accident bringing the mission to an abrupt end greater. In the end, so far, it managed to survive the situation surrounding it. That concludes this. How long do you think Voyager 1 will last? We'll continue to provide data, please. As usual, let us know in the comments section. Please remember to like this video. Join our channel to get more videos. Like us until the next one. Bye.
Yeah, yeah.